Are you a bit of a daydreamer, or you've had like a big vision, a big dream, and it's not happening, and it's actually getting you a little bit down? Well, today I'm going to talk about the dangers of dreaming too much. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra point for you then as well. As always, if you want to connect me more on social media, I'll leave my links in the show notes below. Now, this is a strange one. Why should we stop? Why should I stop daydreaming, Johnny, or dreaming of my things? Well, I want to be very clear on what I mean, because it's something that's held me back and actually enjoying and having a more fulfilled life. I believe, and I'm going to go through a sequence on how I really break this down and make it more enjoyable in my life. I believe that, like, if you think you have big ambitions and big goals and they're somehow physically real, they could happen. I think that's great. Do that. Fantastic. The problem I found in my life is when you've got something that's so big and like you're so far away and you're always judging that gap. That's what I'm talking about today. For example, say you're someone who earns, I don't know, like £40,000 a year, right? And you want to be a billionaire. And perhaps you've been out in the dating scene for a little while and you want the most beautiful, gorgeous wife who's just got the greatest personality and you really connect. And maybe also you want to have like an 8-pack, chiseled abs, all these kind of things just to feel the energy. You want to be living your like dream life of traveling around the world whilst, you're still paying off your debts and maybe you're a little bit overweight. And then you're judging the quality of your life by your dream and the gap from where you are. You're going to feel down, aren't you? So that's what I really want to talk about, because I've noticed different people in my life and I've noticed patterns in my life that there are people who are dreamers, and I can't always tell what's going on in someone's brain. Well, I can't because it's their brain, right? But I've noticed people are like, I'm a big dreamer, and then they always seem to have the same life, right? And they never really change. I've also noticed people who are like, right, this is the goal, this is what I'm going to do. And they just take action and then they hit up and achieve a lot of things. I like to think I'm more like that second kind of person because I always set myself targets and move forward, right? So that's what I really want to share, because it can be painful if you just basing your life on this gap between dream and reality. So I'm going to break it down and kind of share what works for me. Does it really help you though, just being stuck in that gap all the time? If you're anything like me, it didn't do me any good. So this is what I'm going to share, right? Make it very simple as always. The first thing is have yourself a big vision. Like, great. As I was going back to, or what I was saying earlier, having a big dream is not a bad thing. Like being like, I want to do this, and this, right? This is my dream. This is what I want in my life. That is beautiful. I'm super excited. I want this big vision, as long as it's like, physically possible. What wouldn't be physically possible? So for me, here's my example. Like going to the moon, I think would be quite cool. Could that happen? Yeah, possibly. Is it likely? Probably unlikely. It's not impossible though, given all the advances in technology. Could I walk literally to the moon? That's pretty much impossible, right? Now, there may be some technology advance, but it's pretty much impossible, right? Another one, it's almost impossible that I would ever break the 100-meter world record. And basically, what's the record? It's like 957, I think, around that, from Usain Bolt, right? That was in like 2008 when I was into athletics, actually. Now, I've never run the 100 meters under 12 seconds. Ran it just over and done some quite good 60-meter times when I was younger. Now, I'm 33 years old. Could I break the world record in 100 meters? Almost impossible. So putting that as a dream, as a vision, is like, could I be a multi-millionaire? I'm not currently. Yeah, that is possible, right? Given the amount of ways you can make money, yeah, of course, right? And there's always a question of why I'm not doing it then. Not just me, but when you ask yourself that is a big vision. That's great, right? Set yourself a vision of being a millionaire. Maybe if your dream girl, right? Or dream guy or dream person, right? So that's great. First of all, set yourself that vision, right? And that's just like what you really want out of life. And it may change over time. That's cool. Now, we're not going to get attached to that. That's just setting the direction. That's setting the long-term direction, right? And don't put a timer on it. I personally don't think. The next one is setting yourself something from that, a part of that, like a piece of that, that you could achieve in the next 6 to 12 months. Something that's a little bit ambitious. It excites you. It could very well happen in the next 6 to 12 months. Now, if you've never made over £40,000 in your life, in like as a salary, setting yourself becoming a multi-millionaire in the next 6 months is probably unlikely. So maybe you set yourself a goal of hitting 5 to 10k months, right? 5 to 10,000 pound months. That's great, and that's definitely possible, right? You know, I've done that, right? So that'll be your next one. Or you want to get in a certain shape. Maybe there's a certain amount you want to drop in the next 6 to 12 months. Amazing, great. And then you get very excited about that because it's not too far out of reach, yet it's achievable and it's ambitious, right? And then the third thing I suggest is based on that. So your focus is this milestone thing, the 6 months to a year goal, basically. And you set it in multiple areas of your life. Don't set too many. I wouldn't say more than 5. I personally don't try to do more than 5. And you're going to pick a weekly target each week, and setting it each week would be like a needle mover for each of those. So for example, it's like losing weight and you're not doing any exercise. Your like weekly target could just be to sign up for a decent gym or research gyms. Now, I would probably go a little bit further than that, but that's just an example. Like you want to meet your dream partner, like you want to meet someone decent in the next 6 to 12 months. Maybe your weekly target is to sign up for a dating app and then get someone to review your profile, right? Maybe like you want to earn a certain amount of money and you've got that target in six months, right? So maybe you make a financial plan in the next week, right? So this is breaking it down. And this is what you're getting excited about because it's like momentum. And this is like something you're going to do next week. I also, alongside the week, would set yourself daily habits. A daily habit is something you do again and again. And I would not set yourself more than 3 because maximum 5, but ideally 3, because the brain gets overloaded when you add new habits because habits become unconscious. And when you put too many conscious ones you have to be aware of, it can get quite exhausting. Now, I've got a final point as well. Just want to mention again, if you want to connect me more on social media, you can find my links in the show notes below. The final one I'm going to say is look at inspirational stories of people who have done something similar, because there's always inspiration of people who had such a leap in their life. But if you look at their inspirational story, guess what? It did not happen overnight. So look at the Tony Robbins, the Oprah Winfreys of this world. People like Gabby Bernstein I look up to. You know, she became a speaker, and not overnight, like an international speaker, right? These people did not get this success overnight. I grew a massive podcast. My first one was Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset. And guess what? That did not happen. I've got millions of downloads. That did not happen overnight, right? I just had the intention to keep making. I tweaked and fine-tuned and stuff, started impacting more lives, took on the feedback. And I did not have an attachment to an overnight success, right? It just it happened over time, right? And there's certain strategies and things that I've helped people with their podcasts. But that's the final point. I would say look up stories of other people. So that's what I got for you today. Wanted to really talk to you about, dreaming too much when you're like looking at this big gap of like, oh, that's where I want to be and this is where I am. There's ways to close that gap, and that's going to create more momentum and excitement. So I appreciate you for being here. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.